Hey everybody, this is Yusuf Adad. No, this arm again. I always forget that. I'm here with another video and what is likely the most talked about and stressed about requirement for the application of the Service Academies. Before we begin, to help us continue delivering useful content, please like and subscribe to our channel. No one will contact you or sell your products, or your information is not collected nor shared. This is strictly one parent to you, looking to help others in the same boat I was once in. Right, let's talk about the dreaded nomination. U.S. Air Force Academy, West Point Naval Academy, and Merchant Marines all require prospective candidates receive a nomination from a qualified elected official. The Coast Guard Academy no longer requires that nomination, so keep that in mind. All right, so what is a nomination? It's an official document from a congressional man, woman, senator, vice president, president, who are all authorized to nominate your family member to a specific service academy. These elected officials can offer your child a nomination to more than one academy, right? But each one of those nominations is a separate offer. So for example, my son received a nomination to both West Point and the U.S. Air Force Academy from his congressional district after his interview. And these were separate offers. No one is admitted into the academy without a nomination, full stop. For me, the stress came with the fact that we had no political ties in the community. We had heard of horror stories of politicians handing them out to family and friends. The fear comes from the sensation you have little or no control over this critical step, and you're somewhat helpless and at the whim of some stranger. These worries are valid. But just like the application packet that the academies require from you, preparation for a request for nomination can greatly improve your chances of receiving one as well. So let's first go into more detail on where these nominations come from. Number one, congressional nominations. Two, you have vice president and presidential nominations. Three, there are some special categories you can look into. I know the USAFA website does a really good job of explaining it, and these are typically military affiliated situations such as Medal of Honor families, families of MIA members. There's a few other that are affiliated with the military. They're very specific, and you'll need to look and see if that's something that your family would qualify to take advantage of. Now, there are nomination requests for international students as well as U.S. territories like Guam, Puerto Rico, and those countries. They require people contact the appropriate government entity directly. So I'm going to let you guys kind of research that, but those that's where those folks go to get their nominations. Lastly, there is one more select option that I'm going to go over at the end, and some of you might actually qualify for that as well. So the vast majority of people, the congressional nominations are where they're going to get these golden tickets. Go to your district at congressional district websites, as well as your senator websites. Nearly all will have a point of contact for military academy appointments, someone you can email, call, and ask about how they manage their annual allotments. Many of these websites will actually have a page that you fill out to request an interview. Now, I found this to be true for both my congressional district as well as my senators in my state. In fact, our senators actually shared a single contact and a single interview day for both offices. Now, the time period to complete these requests varies, so make sure you know when that window opens and closes. My congressional district window was significantly different than my senator offices, so you need to make sure you understand where each of those have their requirements set at. Most interviews will happen in the fall of your child's senior year. Ours was mid-October for congressional, and we were at the very beginning of November for the Senate interview. Now, both houses of Congress operate under some constraints. Each member of Congress is allowed to have a maximum of 5 cadets per academy at any one time. So if that particular office has 5 kids, let's say at West Point, they cannot nominate for West Point until there's an opening, either through graduation or someone leaving the academy itself. So for each vacancy that is currently in place, they can nominate up to 10 candidates to be considered for appointment. So these appointments aren't the offer to get into the academy. They're simply one more step in the process of your application. All right. And this allotment is the variable that's kind of out of everybody's hands. And I truly don't know how often this occurs. I suspect not too often. Now, let's go on to the other ones. The vice president of the U.S., and they can nominate candidates from anywhere in the country at large, and they can have up to a maximum of 5 cadets attending the academy at one time, and they can have 10 nominations per opening, just like the congressional folks. Now, at USAFA, I don't know how this operates at the other academies. These nominations are assigned by admissions among the qualified applicants that are in the pool. This is not something that you go and pursue. It's kind of a luck of the draw. I don't think there's really anything that you can do to affect change in raising your chances of receiving one of those. So it's not something that you specifically pursue. Okay, now the presidential ones, these are unlimited nominations, but they can only have 100 appointments available annually in this category. Vacancies that are allotted to the president's office are reserved for children of career military personnel. These are military affiliated only. The academy websites will go into great detail about who qualifies for that. I don't want to get too detailed because it might change. And then, down the road, people are looking at me like I didn't know what I was talking about. But I think it's a minimum of 8 years current active duty. But I want you to go and check that out if your family is in the military and see if you qualify for that special situation. For the special category section, again, please go to your academy websites. They go into great detail about how families go about looking for nominations if their family member was active duty, MIA, or Medal of Honor. I know there's some other military affiliations that will put you in a category. So again, take a look at those if you're a military family, see if those apply to you. All right. Now, there is another category that I kind of hinted at here. It's not military affiliated, but it's geared towards recruited athletes. Air Force Academy, West Point, and Navy compete in the NCAA as a Division I Division I programs. Now, in so doing, they do have to recruit, and they get the best and the brightest high school students to compete at the highest levels in college sports. And they produce a lot of NCAA All-Americans. They actually put people in the professional ranks in certain sports. And a large portion of the annual athletic academic All-Americans every year come from these institutions. These are the brightest and some of the best athletes as well. Now, I have a front row seat into this because my son was fortunate enough to be identified as one of these particular recruits. Now at USAFA, this is called the Blue Chip program. And I don't recall the names of West Point and Naval Academy, but they have a very similar setup. So what that means is that if your daughter or son is identified as someone who has the skill to be a Division I athlete, the coach of that team can assign your child, let's just use USAFA as the example. They can assign you as a blue chip recruit with admissions. And what that does in regards to the nomination is that what this potentially could be for your child is if your kid is not able to secure a nomination on their own, the school will help in finding one from their allocations so that you can complete your application. Now, you still have to meet all the academic requirements, leadership, all the other things that make everybody a viable candidate. So this is strictly to potentially help you secure a nomination as part of the recruitment process. Now, my son was able to secure his own nomination, so we didn't go down that road any further. But what I can tell you is that there's a lot of benefit to actually getting your own nomination. And the reason is this, is that if you get your own nomination, typically those will come out in the fall. You'll find, I know the websites will tell you that the congressional offices will get back to you by January. In our situation, and it's probably not normal, he received his nominations 4 days after his interview in October. So what that did is that he was able to complete his nomination requirement, complete his application, and his application was completed in October. And within another couple of weeks, before even November hit, he was accepted to the Air Force Academy. Now, if you're looking to get your nomination through the athletic department, those typically don't come until much later, usually mid to late spring, and a lot closer to the end of your senior year in high school and when you're having to report in June. So that anxiety of not really you're being told by coaches everything's going to be okay, but you don't have that letter from the superintendent that you've been accepted to the institution. Meanwhile, you've got other college coaches saying, hey, we offered you, where are you guys at? And you have to make that decision of saying, I'm sorry, we're hanging our hopes on getting to the Air Force Academy. And you lose those other athletic opportunities in lieu of waiting for this nomination to come. So there's a lot of anxiety, a lot of frustration. There's a lot of trust that you're throwing out there towards somebody else to make their dream happen to getting into the academy. So absolutely 100% pursue getting your own nomination, because it will help alleviate all of that, and your kid can actually rest a little bit while they finish out their senior year. Okay, now something really important about all this, and there's a lot of people that don't have this piece correct in their head. Just because you receive a nomination does not mean you're accepted to the academy. For example, there were over 4,000 nominations to the U.S. Air Force Academy last year, but the incoming class was only 1,130. So only about 25% of people who received a nomination actually got in. If you receive a nomination, don't go telling friends and family that you're going to such and such academy. That's not true. Until you actually receive a letter from the school saying, congratulations, you are now into the class of 20, whatever. All right. You can't make that claim. So getting a nomination is merely just one more check off on a laundry list of things that you need to do in order to complete your application. You will eventually receive an acceptance letter if you're picked. And that usually comes in a really nice, amazing piece of paper in a nice folder from the superintendent for our school. And that's when you can actually claim and say that you're officially accepted. All right. Now, in order to receive a nomination, you have to go through an interview. This is a whole nother gamut of things. So I'm going to create a second video where we're going to review how to secure a nomination or secure an interview, how to prepare for it, and what you should expect in that process and in that interview itself. All right. So as always, if this information is beneficial to you, please like and subscribe so we can continue bringing more content and help your young woman or man be better prepared to secure a spot at the academy of their choice. Until then, have a great day.